Well, okay, welcome back, Ramblers. Today's video, we're going to show you how to go from here to here. I have built a second floor in my 12 by 20 foot shop. So, I like to give at the beginning of the video a real quick overall idea of what I did. To start off, I didn't do anything out of the ordinary. So if you look up here at the original 8-foot sidewalls, that's the top plates for them. What I wanted to do is the math worked out is I wanted the bottom of my joist to be at 6 foot 6 inches, which works out pretty good for me. I'm 6'2", 185 pounds. So looking at that original top plate, that's at 8 foot high. Here's our studs that were used to build it originally. So if you move over, what I did was I built what I'm calling a false wall, okay, in between the existing studs that's on the outside wall. So I have 1, 2 extra studs in each cavity, and then I put a doubled up top plate. Then from there, I just did the normal. I laid my joist across the top plates to the other side, top plates, and everything's just standard from there. So it's not really a whole lot of, crazy how-to stuff. And I have spacer, 2x4s in between my floor joists. I did that while I was building it. Spaces them out at 16 inch on center, which means these are 14 and a half inches a piece on the 2x4 spacers. And that kept everything solid and standing up, ready to go. Now, I built both sides of my second floor the same with 2x8 floor joist, 16 inches on center. Now here, you can see I have a catwalk or a bridge between the two sides. Now, to build this catwalk, what I used was 2x6 joist, approximately 12 inches on center, and joist hangers. Well, okay, now that the quick and dirty explanation's over with, if y'all would like to stick around and watch all the background footage, the B-roll footage, that would be really cool for me, and of course it's going to go into more detail, and you'll get to see me progress along from the beginning. I'll start with bare walls and progress along, and you may like some of the little tricks that I use along the way. I use a few tricks. I make a couple of jigs, to cut all these 2x4s down quickly. I use some shims to help me prop up these joists here and there. So if you'd be interested in seeing more detail and watching the progress as it happens, stick around. Alright, welcome back, Ramblers. Well, this is the inside of my 12 by 20 shop that I had built, and today what we're going to do is we're going to build a loft, okay? Now, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I have them come up with like 47 different ways to do this. All kinds of crazy stuff, you know. Made a mistake telling other people about it, so I had to listen to everybody else. And of course, everybody else is like, this is how you gotta do it, you know, and then they get mad if you don't do it the way they said it, you know, because everybody knows more than you, of course, you know, their opinion and stuff. And I get it, they're just trying to be real helpful, okay? And I am going to use some of the ideas that I got from other people. Now, I went and talked to my dad. He's a pretty good carpenter. Now, the main point of contention was, how am I going to do the stairs, okay? So, originally, I had planned out to the 1/8 of an inch, like a Taj Mahal set of stairs, okay? Like it was going to be a really nice set of stairs. But then I got to thinking, you know, my dad talked me out of it because he's like, you know, that's just too much work and you're taking up too much space. You know, it kind of defeats the purpose of having a loft anyways. It's like, okay, yeah. So, and at some point I was just like, you know what, I've got to get this built, you know. I'm planning too much, okay? So, that's what we're going to do today, all right? We're going to build a loft today, and I'm going to take y'all along with me. It's not going to be an exhaustive how-to and, you know, every little measurement or whatever. I am going to give you some measurements, just showing you how I'm doing it, just to take y'all along in case y'all want to see it. I'm not a professional, not a carpenter, just this is how I do it, okay? Or how I'm going to get this project done, you know? So, all right, let's get to it. These sidewalls are 8 foot tall, okay? What I want to do is have the bottom of my joist at 6 foot 6 inches, all right? Now, it just so happens to work out with all the math, with the 8 foot sidewalls and the height, the peak of the ceiling, okay? We're going to be able to have 6 foot 6 inches below and almost exactly 6 foot 6 inches above the loft, okay? So I'll be able to, since I'm 6'2", 185 pounds, that's going to give me barely just enough room to walk up underneath this thing, okay? And I'll be able to stand up and walk around on the loft, especially in the center, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to call it building a false wall inside this wall, okay? So I'm going to take 2x4s, I'm going to cut a bunch of them, and I'm going to slide them in here. I'm going to cut them to the proper length, okay? Now 6 foot 6 inches. Whoops. No, just forget about that. So 6 foot 6 inches is right here at the top of this door frame, okay? So I'm going to cut a 2x4 and put it on each side of the existing 2x4s that are here. Cut those to length, and then I'm going to slide them in here, and then I'm going to have 2 quote-unquote top plates, okay? So it's going to go one right here and one right here. So I'm going to have to cut a whole bunch of 2x4s that says 1, 2, 3, 4. Probably put an extra one there. Okay, so that's 8 right there. 9. I think it ends up being like 20 2x4s that I counted out. And so that's what we're going to do right now. All right. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, so to get to 6 foot 6 inches with 2 top plates, all right, double up top plate, and the bottom plate, that's going to be 73.5 inches long for my 2x4s. Now, since I got to cut a bunch of them, I'm going to make a little jig, okay? I'm going to take this first one, the scrap one. It's going to cut a little piece. I'm going to put them here to capture one. Then I'm going to put another one, a cross member, across those. Then I'm just going to go whoop. And wherever it cuts the other 2, is where it's going to cut, okay? And so that's all going to be nailed to here. That'll be solid. Then I'm going to slide it, take another one, fresh one, slide it down to 73.5 inches wherever my guide ends on my skill saw. And I'm gonna put a stopper, put another little scrap piece, put it back there. That way I just take a 2x4, slide it in here, boom, cut it, take the next one, boom, cut it. Alright, let's get to it. Well, in a very predictable turn of events, I'm fresh back from the hardware store because I couldn't find the speed square, so to the hardware store I went. Of course, like always, I'm being very efficient at being inefficient. By the way, I do have one of those $10 Ozark Trail orange handled knives from the Wally Worlds. It's kind of all the rage on the YouTube knife sphere right now. as you can see, I think my little jig there worked out pretty decent. Been stacking these up as I go along. Easy way to, didn't even have to count them, just cut and stack it. So, yeah, I got all that. Now, obviously we're gonna have to cut the top plates down. Here's something works out in my favor. So since I'm putting a double up top plate, quote unquote, each one has 2 of them, and every one of these tails can bridge those gaps, except for maybe that one corner. But pretty much it's going to work out. Got 2 tail pieces, so it's going to work out to be almost exactly right, minus that one over there. So yeah, that's going to work out pretty cool. Now I've got to get these nailed or screwed in, and you know, my dad, he gave me that, or he loaned me his framing hammer, but I don't know if I got the forearms or the hammering skill to sit there and do that. I might switch over to a screw gun. Got no room to swing. Well, Rimmers, I don't know. I haven't been swinging a hammer long enough to, that ain't enough gap to drive those 3-inch nails within it. You know, I'll be here all day trying to swing an angle in there, especially when I get this other one in there. You know, so, yeah, I'm not no framing carpenter, so screws it is. I think that's gonna work. Catch up with you after I've done all these. All right. All the studs from my false wall are cut and screwed in place. Now I measured, I got 5 sections. They're all pretty much the same width. They did, you know, standard 16, so it's 14.5. I'm gonna set my jig up for 14.5. Actually, I'm gonna cut it a 1/16 of an inch shorter, I think. I'm going to try my best not to get in a hurry while I'm banging out these 10 here and keep from cutting my finger off. That'd ruin my guitar playing career. Do a test fit. Do a test fit. That's probably loud right there on the thing. Oh shit. Have to go a little shorter. I don't know if that's long enough. I don't know if that was enough. I think this might have been one of those ones that was cut in the angle too. She fits. There you go. All right, I'm gonna bang these 10 out real quick. Okay, that concludes building the false walls. We got the false wall built on both sides. Of course, the next step's going to be putting the joist up. But what we're going to do now is we're going to stop. We're going to go fix something to eat. I need to change the blade on my saw. Some other little knick-knack things I need to do. And then we'll come back and start getting these joists figured out. All right. All right, Ramblers. Well, it's been quite a while since we stopped for get something to eat. In the meantime, now I didn't show y'all. I was having a little bit of an existential crisis there. Almost quit working on this for now. I thought I had really messed up. Now I'm gonna get flamed for this. I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all. So here's what's going on, okay? Because the sheathing, the walls and the ceiling are already on here, and I put my walls inside the existing wall, that did not give enough a lot of room, right, to be able to get the angles to work out. And then you only got, this is 8 foot tall and this is 6.5 foot tall, right? And then, so trying to get the joist to fit up there, it wouldn't fit. And just looking at it, originally what I was thinking is that I was going to have to cut so much of it off to get this little tight diagonal, because I couldn't get much of a diagonal, much more than the straight across. because these little boxes are so small. But I went ahead and stuck it all the way up there as much as I could on top of the 8-footer. Come up over here, put a mark on it, and then I measured it. It was about 3 inches, which worked out pretty good because each top plate, you know, is 3.5 inches wide. So that's 7 inches. So cutting 3 inches off, which barely gets me able to get it in there, but cutting that 3 inches off still leaves me with 2 inches overhanging my top plates on each side. So I'm going to have 2 inches on this side, 2 inches on that side, because it's 7 inches overall, minus the 3 is 4, so that gives me 2 and 2. So had a little, we almost had a little mental breakdown there, and I'm sure y'all will flame me about all this stuff. Like I say, I'm not a professional, kind of learning some of this stuff as I go, you know, had it planned out, but you know how that goes. So, alright, I'm going to get the rest of these up here and the way I did the math, which it might not be right, but I figured this top plate's 3.5 wide. The other top plate's 3.5 wide. So that's 7 inches. I cut 3 inches off. So 3 minus 7 should be 2 inches of overhang on each side. So, yeah, that's plenty. So all the floor joists for the loft are up there, but they are not secured and fastened down. What I plan on doing is cutting a bunch of 2x4s and blocking these off. I'm going to cut 10 2x4s 14.5 inches apart. Go up there. It's going to be a little bit more work than using like hurricane clips or whatever. But once I get those 2x4s on each end over here, in between them, and then on the other end, they're not going to tip, it's not going to do nothing, it's not going to go anywhere. Don't step on that end, ramblers. Ain't nothing but death and destruction over there. Well, we're getting there. I don't know what y'all can see on the camera. I haven't upgraded my camera, so I can't see it. I don't have a forward-facing LED. Well, like I said, I'm 6'2", so plenty of room up here, plenty of room below it. Alright, let me get off this ladder without killing myself on recording, okay? So, that's how we're gonna do it. Got that sheet of plywood overlaying the other one up there. So, like I said, no need to measure. I've already marked this once. And I'm not too worried about being real accurate on all this stuff anyway, because I want at least an 1/8 inch gap. All right. I want at least an 8 inch gap between these sheets of plywood. All right. So we're going to do these marks, and then we're going to line up a straight edge on it, and we're going to yeah, so do these marks, line up a straight edge, and then come off this mark a little bit, give me a little extra room, and hopefully it's going to work out right. Okay, well, as expected, a little bit more of a gap than was necessary. Cut a little short. I did that on purpose around this because I did not want to have to wrestle this son of a bitch back down or come up here with a saw and recut this. So, like I say, it's just scratch carpentry. It's going to get it done for me. And Well, I wasn't going to take a break until I got all these joists up, and I only got one more to go. And that one, it's not matching up and fitting real good, but I'll take care of that. But I had to stop and change the battery in the GoPro, so pickle break it is. Real quick. Hot pickle at that. Pretty hot. That's going to put me right to the wire on my schedule. One of the bad things about having this, basically, I'm going to have this two lofts and I'm going to have a bridge in between, and there's going to be a stairs. So, you know, not going to have a whole lot of space for tall items. Maneuvering the tall things like this ladder, that's going to be almost impossible once this gets in here, because it's going to be just basically a second floor. It's not even going to be a loft when I get done with it. Might as well just call it a second floor. So, there'll be a lot more storage area, but for boxes and stuff like that. Ladders, this 12-foot ladder, yeah, it's going to be pretty tough. I mean, I might be able to put it over here against this floor wall. I'm going to have this one little section for a little bit of stuff that's high, but it's okay. Well, Rimmers, I mean, here she is. In all her glory. That's a finished product right there. I'm real super happy with how this turned out. I mean, honestly. You know. Now, this took me 3.5 weeks worth of work, probably. Good 3 weeks worth of work that I separated out across 9 months, you know, because that's just, you know, how we roll around here on the Ramblin' J-Lo channel. So, but I'm real happy with how this turned out. I'm like super happy. So, all right, let's bring the camera downstairs. This will be our end of the video shot. Putting these up and there you have it. Whole second floor. Sturdy, 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 heavy duty stairs. And they fold up out of the way. Alright. See y'all around, Rimmers.